Hey guys, welcome back to Based MMA. In this video, I'm going to be giving you guys my UFC hot takes. Look, by the end of this video, you're probably going to be pissed at me. Maybe you'll agree with some of my takes. Look, some of these takes are kind of lukewarm. I think some people are going to be agreeing with my opinions here. But look, I'm going to start off with my first UFC hot take. I believe that Ian Garry is a bad striker. Look, a lot of people, me included, we all talk about Ian Garry like, oh, he's this long range striker. He's such a good striker. He's so technical. He's so fast. He's not. He's not. And look, I'm not only just talking about Michael Venom Page. I'm also talking about his other fights against Jeff Neal Magny. Look, I know he destroyed Neil Magny with the leg kicks, but he couldn't knock him out or get him out of there. A Neil Magny that stepped in on short notice. His fight against Jeff Neal, you look at Ian Garry's fight against Jeff Neal, and then you look at Stephen Thompson's fight against Jeff Neal, just levels. So a lot of people talk about Ian Garry like this. He's this amazing striker. He's so elusive on the feet. He has so much power. He's so combination. No, bro, this guy fucking sucks. This guy really fucking sucks when it comes to the striking. Yes, he uses his length to his advantage with the leg kicks, with the low kicks, but his power is very overrated. His hands absolutely suck. He doesn't throw in combinations. He doesn't have a solid jab. I believe he only landed like one punch on Michael Venom Page in that second round. I believe it was like a jab or a right hand, and it did absolutely nothing against Michael Venom Page. He was very plotty on the feet. He was slow. I noticed that also in his fight against Jeff Neal, that he was just circling around the cage, but he wasn't really able to do anything against Jeff Neal. And look, being a good striker is not just being elusive and throwing low kicks from range. That's not being a good striker. Being a good striker is actually imposing damage on your opponents. And I just don't think Ian Garry is that type of fighter. I think he's very overrated. I think he's actually a bad striker. I think his boxing fundamentals are absolutely horrendous. He has terrible hands. He has terrible striking defense. So yeah, that's my first take. Ian Garry is a very bad striker. I hope you didn't click off this video. I know that's going to piss off a lot of people, but like I said, I think there's solid reasons to state why Ian Garry is actually a bad striker. Now, my second opinion is Paddy Pimblett is going to smoke Bobby Green. Yes, I do believe Paddy's going to smoke Bobby Green. And I understand people are going to say, well, Bobby Green finished Tony Ferguson. Paddy wasn't able to do that. He went to a decision. Yeah, I agree, Bobby Green. But if you watch that fight against Tony Ferguson, Ferguson had more success against Bobby Green than he did against Paddy Pimblett. And even though Paddy wasn't able to finish him, Paddy showed that he's a very big lightweight, that he has pop in his shots. Yes, he's not the most defensively sound, but at this point in Bobby Green's career, yes, he's the more technical guy. I just don't think he could take that combination that Paddy gave Tony Ferguson in that fight. I think Paddy has a lot of power. I think he's a big lightweight. I think he could take down Bobby Green. And I'm going to go with Paddy Pimblett smoking Bobby Green at UFC 304. Now, my third opinion is that Islam Makhachev beats Leon Edwards. I don't think this is like that much of a hot take. I think some people are going to agree with this take. But the reason why I think it's a hot take, at least for me, is because a couple weeks ago at UFC 302, when that happened, I was kind of thinking, you know what? I think Leon could beat Islam Makhachev. But the more I've thought about it, the more I've actually kind of changed my opinion. And I think that Islam Makhachev would beat Leon Edwards comfortably. I think he would handily beat Leon Edwards. And the reason why is because even though Leon Edwards has improved his grappling defense, even though he's very technical on the feet, he just doesn't have the grit to compete against an Islam Makhachev who's improving in the striking, who's very well-rounded, who has amazing takedowns, who has submission ability. I don't see Islam submitting Leon Edwards, but the problem with Leon is that he likes to fight at a comfortable pace. We saw that in his fight against Colby Covington, where Colby wasn't able to push the pace. What did Leon do? He just stayed at that pace. He stayed in that Colby pace, which is why a lot of people picked Colby Covington to win that fight, because a lot of people were expecting Colby to be able to take him down, to make it kind of a dirty fight. And maybe Colby doesn't have success taking down Leon, but because of the pace, it's going to overwhelm Leon Edwards. We saw Kamaru Usman be able to do that in that rematch. Even in the trilogy, we saw Leon was able to slow down, and I feel like Leon just gets too comfortable in fights. And then you're fighting an Islam Makhachev who's improving with his hands, who does have good power, who does have good low kicks, who's not afraid to have a gritty fight. Plus, Islam moving to 170, he's going to have better cardio. He's going to have better durability. Man, and I don't think Islam is a small lightweight, actually. So I think once Islam and Leon are right next to each other, I think Islam is actually going to look pretty big. Maybe not bigger than Leon. Leon's probably going to be the bigger guy. But when I thought about the matchup, when I thought about the styles, their skills, their ability, I think Islam beats him. I think Islam beats him. Maybe Leon will prove me something wrong in the Bilal Muhammad rematch. But the more I've gone back and watched that fights with Kamaru Usman, the second and the third fight, the fight against Colby Covington, I'm like, you know what? I think Islam is a problem for Leon. I think Islam at 170 would fight even better. He's going to have more power. He's very fast. We saw he was able to outbox somebody like Dustin Poirier. The threat of a takedown is going to be too much for Leon Edwards. I think Islam's going to be able to push the pace. I don't think Leon has enough output to be able to beat Islam Makhachev by decision. And I don't see Leon having the power to beat Islam Makhachev either. So that's one of my takes. I think Islam Makhachev beats Leon Edwards comfortably. Now my fourth hot take is that Yair Rodriguez could be a problem at 155. Hot take: if Yair Rodriguez bulks up to the lightweight division, gets a little bit more muscle, better takedown defense, I think he beats the fuck out of Dustin Poirier. I think he beats the fuck out of Justin Gaethje. And I think he would be a fucking problem, man. Yair is a very fast guy. He's one of the craziest strikers in the UFC. I mean, he gave Volkanovski a lot of problems on the feet. That is why Volkanovski had to shoot for takedowns, even in that first round, which is very uncharacteristic of Volkanovski, somebody who's also a very good striker in the featherweight division. I think that if Yair Rodriguez bulks up to 155, I think he beats a Justin Gaethje. I really do believe he beats a Justin Gaethje. I just rewatched Yair Rodriguez versus Max Holloway, and I'm like, yeah, Yair is an amazing striker. He's very good, man. It's just that, I mean, he can't fight a fucking grappler, which is why I think if you match him up against 155 lightweight strikers, I think Yair Rodriguez would do very good, and in my opinion, would beat guys at this point like Justin Gaethje, a Yair Rodriguez. I mean, maybe not a Charles Oliveira, because Charles Oliveira has good submission skills and has good grappling as well. I don't think he beats an Armin Saryukin, but I think he could be a problem for the strikers in the lightweight division. Now, my fourth, I believe that's my fifth take. I mean, yeah, my sixth take. I don't know if it's sixth or fifth. Who the fuck cares? My next take is that Ilia Topuria is the only guy who could beat Islam Makhachev. Yeah, I know. People are going to say, what? Topuria, he only beat Volkanovski. Josh Emmett sucks. He hasn't done anything in the featherweight division. Think about the fight stylistically. I think Topuria is a problem for Makhachev. I think that Topuria in the lightweight division is a problem for Makhachev. One, his boxing is very good. His striking defense is getting a lot better. I know a lot of people talked about that head kicks before that Volkanovski fight. We saw that it wasn't a problem. People talked about the low kicks. We saw that it wasn't, a problem for Topuria. And I just think that Topuria is too good of a striker. I think the fact that he's kind of short, he's very stocky, he's very strong, could give Makhachev problems. And I just think that if Topuria lands any combination on Islam, which I do think he would be able to do so, I think Topuria knocks out Islam. Obviously, Islam has the takedown threat. He does have the submission ability, but Topuria is also very good on the ground. Not better than Islam Makhachev, but I think enough to hold his own on the ground. And I just think that Topuria is kind of a nightmare for Islam Makhachev. Somebody short like Volkanovski. Volkanovski gave Islam problems, but with a shit ton of power. I think Topuria kills Islam Makhachev. Like I said, I understand people are going to be mad about them. I'm mad about that because Topuria, he hasn't defended his title. We still have to see how he does against a Max Holloway, who he does against other contenders. But as of right now, my opinion remains that I think Topuria has the best chance and I think beats Islam Makhachev, and he also does that by a knockout. Now, my last take I'm going to say is that Sean O'Malley is the best striker in the UFC by a fucking mile, okay? I know people are going to be like, oh, man, of course, Sean O'Malley, that's not a hot take. It is kind of a hot take in the way I'm going to explain it. Look, I think Sean O'Malley is such a better striker, leagues above Alex Pereira, leagues above all these guys. And the reason why is because, look, he did so good against Peter Yan. Peter Yan had to shoot takedowns to mix it up against Sean O'Malley. Sean O'Malley just looked way too elusive on the feet. I mean, who has made Peter Yan look like that in the striking when there's no takedowns involved? Like Corey Sandhagen wasn't able to do that. I think Sean O'Malley is the best striker in the UFC by a mile. What he was able to do to Aljamain Sterling, what he was able to do against a Marlon Vera. People going into that Marlon Vera were talking about, oh, Sean O'Malley's going to have to mix it up with the takedowns. He can't stand with Marlon Vera, who has a granite chin and has amazing cardio. Like O'Malley's frail. No, O'Malley has pop in his shots. He's fast. He has good distance management. He has good fight IQ. He's getting better. I think he's the best striker in the UFC by a fucking mile. Look, I know Alex Pereira is in everybody's minds right now because of what he's been doing in the light heavyweight division. But, I mean, Yuri's not technical, and he's always had striking defense problems. We saw Alexander Rakic even able to kind of outstrike Yuri up until Yuri overcame that with his power and his willpower. I don't know, man. I think Sean O'Malley is the best striker in the UFC by a fucking mile. Maybe I'm biased because I love watching his fights. I really do believe he's the best striker. Also, the fact that it's at 135, you know, that smaller weight class scale. You know, Lucas Tracy loves to talk about that. I think Sean O'Malley is currently the best striker in the UFC. I don't think anybody beats this guy just on the feet, which is why I believe he's the best striker in the UFC by a mile. I don't even think any other fighter is close. I don't think Taporia is close. I don't think Islam is close. I don't think Alex Pereira is close. I think Sean O'Malley is just levels on the feet, and I just don't think anybody can compete with him on the feet. Like Marlon Vera looked like an absolute, like, he looked like trash, and people say that, oh well, Marlon Vera sucks, but who's made him? Like, O'Malley is such a, like, you know what I love about O'Malley? Like, he's very technical, but he actually imposes damage. We got guys like Leon Edwards, like Ian Gary, who are very technical. Like, people love to talk about technical, but they don't impose any damage on their opponents. They really fucking don't. Like, they go, like, look how Marlon Vera looked at the end of the fight. Like, who made Marlon Vera look like that? Did Corey Sandhagen do that to Marlon Vera? No. He had to mix it up with the takedowns and with his volume shots. But, like, Corey had to do a lot of things to kind of like eliminate the threat of Marlon Vera, while Sean O'Malley was able to beat him just standing. Like, that's insane to me. A Marlon Vera who relies on his granite chin and his power, he wasn't able to knock out Sean O'Malley. He wasn't able to close the distance, and O'Malley just made him look silly on the feet. And like I said, even though we have to see O'Malley maybe fight some other strikers, I think he's the best striker. I really do believe he's the best striker. But anyway, guys, let me know what you guys think. Maybe you're going to disagree. Maybe you're already fucking pissed. I'll see you guys in the next one.